Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Kedar, and on this channel we talk about design, architecture, parametric design and generative AI. And so far in the realm of generative AI, we have looked at how these models are trained, why empathy modeling is not good, and concepts like control net, flux context model, IP adapter and upscaling. And the moment you will start working with AI using any tool, any method, it will not be the technical issues that you will come up with. You will come up with generative AI fails. And there will be a lot of fails, and this video is dedicated to that, to show you that whenever I make any video or whenever I make any tutorial, there is a lot of fails that go on in the backend, and whatever I show you is only a nice selected images. And not just me, anybody who shares AI image from Gen AI on social media, take it from me that they have at least 3 to 5 fails which they don't share, okay, because that's how it is with AI. You don't want to share what is the bad thing that you get, and I thought of, okay, let me share this, whatever the bad results that I have got, so that you don't feel like, oh, why is he getting so good results and why I get so bad results. Okay, so this video is going to be fun. There's nothing much technical about in this video because we've done a lot of technical work already. So let's just see the fails that I have encountered and see if you encounter the same fails. So what I have done in this video is that I have kind of compiled them with respect to different concepts. So you will see fails with IP adapter, control net and things like that. Okay. What I have also done is that you will see a date so that you understand that no matter what experiments I have done over this past 2 years, that AI fails is constantly there. Okay. And this is the snippet of the presentation slide that I did for IP adapter. And these are good images, but at the back end, you will see how horrible the results that were that I didn't share. It made architecture flat. With the stones one, I don't know what these edges are. The stone is completely empty. The car made it in 3 cars. I don't know what it means. This is supposed to be me, but I don't know who this person is. It made 4 hands, and look how horrible the cat is. So this will happen inevitably. Okay, let's go on next. So here I'm trying to combine falling waters with flower plumeria alba, and this is a good result. But behind the scenes, you see there are so many bad results that I get, and I'm only sharing 5 to 15. I always get at least 10 to 12. I don't know, maybe I'm not that great with AI, but this is a general trend that I have seen. I get at least 15 to 20 bad images always. So here you see with the first or the second one, the flower is so big. The third one was a little bit better. And in the fourth and fifth, it kind of didn't recognize the building at all. Okay. And you might be wondering, what is the solution to this? So the thing that I generally do are these 4 things. Number 1, I keep tweaking the parameters. It could be any numbers of control net or, IP adapter, anything. Keep on changing the parameters. The next thing that I do, I keep changing the prompt. So sometimes it does work by changing prompt, adding more details, removing some unnecessary words, and also keeping in mind the token limit as well. And then check the quality of your input image. Sometimes it has happened that, I put a low resolution image, and that's, of course, the output is going to be low resolution. So see the quality of the input image as well. And then, of course, you have to always check if you're using the correct model, because sometimes, and this happens to me a lot, I use HD model and then I'm using HD XL control net. Because they don't match, I get error. So see to it that they match. I know this might feel like stupid, but this happens a lot of time. Trust me, if I do these 4 things, I will get 100% good result always. Okay, now let's go on and see some more fails. So I like to make patterns with Grasshopper. So in this case, I made a pattern of tree and I wanted to visualize this. This is a good result because I wanted the tree to stand out and the architecture to go behind. And these were all the failed results. I don't know why. At any given moment, it was making like people dancing around the tree. I don't know why this was happening. It was not making architecture behind, but it was combining architecture and the tree. Sometimes I would not even get the full output. But these are the things that you will also encounter. And I think this is because the more you will start to control AI, the more randomness it will give you. And this is true. Go to any app, type a prompt, you will get amazing looking results. Increase the prompt for more specific or more something that you want, you will start seeing some weirdness. Add an image, you will get more weirdness. Add an image plus prompt plus some character, you will start getting more weirdness. Okay. So the more you will start controlling AI to your own kind of needs or deliverables, the more it will give randomness and more fails will occur. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So again, I created a pattern in Grasshopper and wanted to convert into C waves. And this looks really nice. I'm using IP adapter and control net in this case. And now let's look at the fails. Well, some of these might look really good. Where they failed was to understand the pattern. So you will see sometimes I only get as a line. Sometimes I don't know why it would push the waves to the sky. At no time it was to understand the pattern, and that to me was a fail. All of these images are really good in itself, but also it needs to understand what pattern I'm giving and not just do what it wants. Okay, then let's look at another example. In this case, I'm only giving 4 arcs or 4 lines to AI. So this is the bottom line. Then there are 2 curves and there's a top line for AI to make architecture from it. And now let's look at it fails. So you will see that at many times it failed to recognize all the 4 lines or curves. So you will see here it forgot to use the top curve. Here it forgot to use the middle 2 curves. Again here it forgot to use the middle 2 curves. In the first image, it did a good job, but I don't know, it kind of made everything into a sky. And sometimes the answer is not really difficult. For this case, I only changed the seed value and I got a better result. So sometimes the matter is also about what seed value works and what seed value does not. Okay. And then let's check the next one. So this was when I was doing my 100 days of AI. And this was when I'm doing the 99th day. And I wanted to use this number and transfer the style of all the things that I had created. And this is a really good outcome, which you see it's kind of 3-dimensional. It still uses the word 99. Okay. And at that time, I was not much familiar with ComfyUI. So my go-to tool was MidJourney. So you'd see these first 2 outputs are from MidJourney, where I told it to make a building that looks like 99. And it used to do this, but it used to only put the number 99. The building still looked something that's completely off. And then I had no option but to go to ComfyUI. And these you will see the options that didn't work out. You will see at no point it was able to understand the letter 99. I had to push the control net more for it to understand, but you see the fails. Like, I don't know, it's trying to do this. Actually is a very nice image, but this doesn't give 99. Or even with the stone one, I think I have to squint to really see if this is 99. Doesn't really do a good job. So you will encounter fails, no matter what methodology you use, no matter what tool you use. Okay. And this was the final result that really worked, by tweaking the parameters, tweaking the prompt, tweaking the denoise value, tweaking the seed number. So you got to play with all of these, especially with ComfyUI, to get a really good result. Okay. So these were the fails with IP adapter. Now let's look at the fails with control net. So this was the presentation slide that I used in the video in a couple of weeks back. And these were the fails that I encountered. I don't know, this image looks like I have 2 lips. I don't know. These are really, really weird. But this is to show you that you will also encounter these. It's not like you're doing something wrong. It is inevitable to not have these kind of outputs. Okay. Or in this case, where I took the image of this building that was under construction somewhere in Bombay, India, and I wanted to visualize it, how it will look when it is finished. And this is a good output. And you will see the bad results. I don't know why this happened. Maybe I forgot to do some connections. Maybe I changed some connections. Maybe I did not plug the control net. But it was fun to see this. I was actually surprised to see this output. And I was like, oh, this is actually nice. Can the building look something like this? And then I started connecting and getting better results. But sometimes you can have a good laugh when AI goes bonkers or you do some mistake and things don't work out. And the next one was I wanted to convert this abstract pattern into an architectural space. And you will see the fails that occurred in this particular case was because this pattern is floating. So all the fails, you will see that at no point it was trying to understand how to connect the building to the ground, and there was always a space in between the ground and the building. The answer to this was just to reduce the control net value. You will get more randomness, but I was okay with it. And by getting so many fails, it also helped me learn better about how to prompt, how to tweak parameters, how to change connections. So actually these fails are also the reason why I'm able to share them with you all. So I think I owe more of my understanding of AI to the fails than the good results. Okay. Now let's look at the flux context fails. Okay. In this case, I showed you all during the flux context video that I wanted to put this building on a particular site, and this was one of the good results. And you will see the failed results. It was so hard. I have wasted so many credits to do this. You will see it only gave me that empty plot. It kind of pushed the material to the behind building. At one point it did the building, but it pushed it in the background and the foreground still remained the same. At one point I only got the masks. At one point it changed the complete context. At one point it added the building, but it still left the muddy regions here. So it was very difficult for me to get this output. Yes. Now that we have the developer version of the context, it is a little bit easy, but still it will not do a really good job of adding this on a particular site. This also shows you that no matter even the most recent model will have fails. So don't take that, okay, this is the most recent model, you will not have fails. You will always have fails. Okay. Now let's look at some of the rendering fails, because I like to create designs in Rhino and then render them. So in the first case, I had made this design inside of Rhino. Now this specific case was super tricky because it had a lot of vertical lines the only way to get a good result was crank the control net value. But when I would crank the value, of course I would get a good result, but you would see that there is no surrounding, there is no sky, I can get a good result, but it looks really off. And on the other hand, when I would reduce the control net value, you see the pattern is completely lost. You see the verticalness of the louvers goes and AI kind of mixes all of them together. But sometimes the answer is just patience. You have to be patient, tweak a lot of parameters, and sometimes you might get. If you don't get, go back to your rendering tools. That could be Twinmotion, Enscape, Lumion, and that is also fine. You don't really have to stick to AI. Now let's see the next one. So in this case, I created this design and I wanted to visualize this in a particular context, and this worked. And now let's see the fails. So you will see that it was very difficult for AI to understand or differentiate between the building and the sky and the materials. So you will see here the sky is too profound. Here you see the material has completely taken over. And in this case, what worked for me was just changing the view of the input image. And this is when I started getting better result. Of course, this one has a skylight on top. I think after this, the third or fourth iteration of this is when I got a good result. So sometimes it is just about the input image that you give. AI might not understand it. So change the view, and that also helps. And now let's see some of the composition fails. Okay, we have not looked at this node yet. But also I wanted to show that, even in future, no matter what we will do, you will encounter fails. So there is a node in ComfyUI which allows you to compose things and then get a better result or get a completely different result. Now here I am composing this kind of a robot with a building, and I like this output, but you will see the fails. In the first one, I don't know what this metallic clump is, or I don't know why it did this in an interior space. I don't know why it added an extra arm, or I don't know why these renders are completely foggy. Okay, so this is inevitable, especially when you're trying to combine things. AI will kind of create a lot of randomness. So now that you see, no matter what process or what kind of a node you will use in ComfyUI, you will get an error. I don't want to show more of them, but you understand the crux of it. Okay, now let's look at some of the MidJourney fails. Okay, and this is a time when I was transitioning from MidJourney to ComfyUI. So this is the first example. I wanted to convert this Indian sweet, which basically is called gulab jamun, which are deep fried dough soaked in sugar syrup. And this is a good output that I got. So it was very difficult for MidJourney to kind of fuse the suite and the architecture together. So here you will see all of them are very separate. At this case, for example, the suites is in front of the building. Again, in this case, the same result, or the suite is above the building. Even if it tried to fuse, I don't know, it did kind of a weird thing here. But you see, most of the fails are that it was very difficult for it to fuse things together and get a better result. But here I'm showing you only 15 fails. There were a lot. Let me show you them as well. So you see how many fails I encountered. Oh, this is actually a nice image to put as my desktop wallpaper for me to remind that there are going to be constant fails. I don't know why I encountered so many. Maybe I was learning as well. But I exhausted my entire 1 month subscription. I generally pay $10 for MidJourney to create this exploration. There were few more. I did not show it. I don't know whether to laugh or to cry, but you see how bad the outputs were. This corner kind of shows you when images started to look better. And actually what worked in this exploration was not to directly convert the input image into the final output, but find the in-between steps. So what I did was I took this first image, then I kind of made it more doughy, gooey, and kind of more syrupy to get something like this. But when I got this, I was like, this might be helpful to create an interior space. So I made something like this. Of course, it doesn't look very interior, but you can imagine if all of these spherical balls were, furniture, this would look like a very nice interior space. And from this, I was able to get the final output. So sometimes fails actually teach you processes for any tool. Now in this case, it taught me about MidJourney. For your case, it could show you some other tool as well. So these, I think, fails are also inevitable or crucial when you're learning with AI. Okay, or in this case, when I wanted to transfer this Rangoli pattern onto an architectural space, MidJourney was not able to do it. So I had to go to DALL-E, and basically Rangoli is you create decorative pattern on the floor which is filled with color powder or rice or the petals of a flower, and MidJourney was not able to do this. If you see the output from MidJourney, it was horrible. It was not able to push the Rangoli pattern onto a particular space or an architectural space. So I shifted to DALL-E, and it was easy to create these outputs. And this might also be because in the training set of MidJourney, there might not be Rangoli images, or it doesn't know how to transition it into an architectural space or any kind of a space. So sometimes it's also the tool that is limiting you. So if you feel that with this a particular tool you're not getting it, change the tool. Or it could be in case of ComfyUI model. Don't use the model which I am saying are good. Test different models out. Maybe Excel Real Which is not good for you. Maybe you like something else. Maybe you like a Juggernaut model. It is completely fine. So see for your case what works, because AI has inevitable bias. So sometimes some model might not have what you're looking for and some other tool or some other model might have. So try to shift as well. Don't get stuck right now in the world of AI. I don't think giving 100% attention to one app is really good. So keep switching when you get stuck with one app and you might find a better result, which is what happened for me in this case. I shifted from MidJourney to DALL-E and I got what results I wanted. Okay, now let's look at one of the fun fails, which is this numerical fails. I don't know if you want, you can try it right now. So the fail is that if you ask AI to do specific things, let's say you ask it to make 8 apples, it will make 9, 10. Okay. If you say 2, let's say you say 2 cats, it will do it. But add more, add like 10 cats or 15 cats, it won't do it. I have selected a few examples. So here in the first case, I said view of a residence with 10 windows, and you see so many windows are there. Or I said hand with 8 fingers. And you see, we have troubled so much AI that whenever we now add the word hand, it is going to make 5 fingers. You see in the third image, it is trying to make the 6th finger, but it's like, no, they're going to harass me again. Let me make only 5 fingers. In the next one, it did try to make 6 fingers, but never reached 8. Okay, so this is a fun thing to explore. I generally sometimes when I'm a little bit bored or wondering what to do, because this gives me inspiration sometimes. But with hand, we have harassed AI so much that now it is like, no, I will do only 5 fingers. You tell me how many here, I will do only 5 fingers. So this is a fun fail to try. Let's see some of the other examples that I did. Now here I'm saying, and this is again screenshot from MidJourney. So here I'm saying collection of 8 miniature architectural model. The first one has 7. The second one has, I think, around 9 or 10. The third one actually is correct. It has 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So sometimes it works. The next one has definitely more than 8. Then I said view of 5 vintage car. In the first one, you see it has 3. The fourth one, we can only see the head of the car. In the next 2, we have 6. And then in the last one, we have 5. So sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. But this is something fun for me to experiment. And I always do it, like I said. Now let's look at ChatGPT fails. And it fails a lot. A lot. Trust me, every day there is one fail. And most of us have encountered this. So I'm just going to give you a few examples. In the first one, I was trying to find a balancing point of a mesh in Grasshopper. And I tried to ask ChatGPT what would be the process of creating this in Grasshopper. And it created its own component called mesh face area. Then I said to ChatGPT, there is no component called mesh face area in Grasshopper. Then it said, you are right, there is no direct component. And it gave me some other description. And then I said, we cannot directly convert mesh face to mesh. And ChatGPT was like, you're absolutely right, we can't directly do that. So you see this conversation go on and on. And you might say that, yes, why don't you make a custom GPT? Yes, I can do that. But sometimes it is fun to test their intelligence, because it is supposed to be the intelligence of human. So I always like to test and see where it is at. Okay. Now let's see some of its image generation fails. So I gave the same image that I showed you earlier in the presentation of this building that was under construction. And you see the output from ChatGPT. Now let's see the floors here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what ChatGPT has done, it has done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So while at first glance, you will see that yes, it has done a good job. It actually has not done it. So in this case, ComfyUI worked. So if I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it has 8 floors. But really, the more control you will ask from these tools, the more randomness you will get. And then I was like, okay, maybe let's try with circular windows. And still you see it did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What was interesting also is that it changed the perspective. So you see the length of the building at the top is so much, while the length of the building from ChatGPT has increased and the length of from ComfyUI, it remains the same because they're basically masking it. So apart from reducing the floors, it also increased the width of the building, which in my opinion is not really great. And then the next one is this famous creating architectural mood boards using ChatGPT. And I did few, and then I was like, but where is the north? Because in architecture, and if you're an architect, you will know the value of north because we calculate the wind direction, the sun analysis, understanding the north. And in this case, it did not. Yes, of course, you will say add a north. Okay, doesn't matter. But still, it's good to see that, it's not able to create that. And, there is going to be fails. And like ChatGPT, MidJourney, or ComfyUI, any other tool that you take will also encounter fails. I didn't want to make a elaborate presentation showing fails on Runway, Luma or any other. You will encounter this, and this is because AI is trained to provide an answer whether it is correct or wrong. And because of this, what happens, or because of the fails that we see constantly, or AI not doing a good job, there is a anxiety that builds. I'm not sure if this is for everyone, but for me, there is a anxiety that builds whenever I see something that failed, because I'm also seeing somebody who is doing the same process. Maybe they're using ControlNet and they get better result. Why am I not getting a good result? And this kind of anxiety builds. But let me tell you, we all are in the same boat. Okay, I don't know, somebody might be really a genius, maybe the creators. And trust me, even today, I get anxiety because of this, but it's still a work in progress. But I wanted to see if it's only me or a lot of people get. And surprise, surprise, there is a paper on this which talks about AI anxiety, a comprehensive analysis of psychological factors and interventions. Did you think that this video will not have paper? Yes, hiding research papers is really important, okay? And let's see what it says. So it says, the rapid advancement of AI has raised significant concerns regarding its impact on human psychology, leading to a phenomenon called AI anxiety, feelings of apprehension or fear stemming from the accelerated development of AI technologies. So it is not just me or you, there is a phenomenon which is called AI anxiety. And I was super surprised to see this paper. At one point, I was happy that I am not alone, but I was also sad that so many of us are going through it. And what is interesting in this paper, I would highly recommend to read this paper. If you go down, they tell you evolution of AI from, machine learning to GAN to generative AI. What I want you to focus on is this part. I have enlarged this. And here you will see that they say 2022 ChatGPT debut, 2023 AI anxiety amplifies with introduction of ChatGPT, concerns over job loss and ethical considerations become more pronounced. So this AI anxiety is there for a lot of us. For me, it's because of the fails that I get. For somebody, it's because the job loss that might happen. For somebody, it might be the ethical reason. For somebody, it might be the climate crisis that's happening. With AI, we all have some or the other kind of anxiety, okay? And in the paper, they define AI anxiety as, I'm just going to highlight some of them. You can read the entire paper later on. AI anxiety refers to a general apprehension or unease individual experience in response to the rapid development of integration of AI technologies into various aspects of society, okay? So that's what they're saying, that why we have this anxiety. And then it says AI anxiety presents an entirely new paradigm to the mental health landscape. The abstract nature of AI, its pervasive integration into daily life, and the profound implications for the future form a relentless source of stress. The complexity of AI can be overwhelming for many, fostering a heightened sense of vulnerability and a perceived loss of control. So this is really a concern. I know I said that this video is going to be fun, but I have to address this because just showing you the fails is not helpful. I also need to see what's happening psychologically, because AI is taking over us psychologically as well. And later on in the paper, they made this interesting graph which showed how much the search of AI anxiety, is AI dangerous, and will AI replace, increased drastically after ChatGPT was launched. So you see, before 2023, the search was okay, but you see a sudden surge after ChatGPT in AI anxiety. Is AI dangerous and will AI replace? Okay, so we all have this. Okay, so later on in the paper, they also give some suggestions or solutions that can be for mental health provision, regulations, engineers, non-profit community groups. But for me, what was interesting and what is really crucial is with educational institutions. They say integrate AI literacy into curricula, offer specialized courses and workshops on AI development, ethics and applications. And I personally feel this is the way to do it. Of course, I'm not neglecting all of these. Okay? By no means I'm neglecting all of this. But for my personal understanding or from my personal opinion, this is the only way to tackle AI, because we also see so many random things happening with AI. The misuses, the deep fakes, the scams that are happening with AI are so much. And that is because we don't have education and everybody has access to it. And I think the solution could be through educational institutions, maybe not 100%, but something. But reading this paper was very interesting to me. And then I started thinking, do we have anxiety with technology before AI as well? And yes, I found another paper which talks about computer anxiety, comparison of research from 1990 and 2000s. Okay, so this particular paper compiles all the papers on computer anxiety, which came in 2013. And let's read the abstract a little bit. So it says, as computers became ubiquitous in business, home, and schools, there was increasing concern about computer anxiety and its effects on individuals. The first academic article on computer anxiety was published in 1980, which is I think around 45 years ago. Since that time, hundreds of papers have been published, and in the paper that I'm showing you right now, they compared 276 articles on computer anxiety. And it's a good paper. It kind of categorically shows you all the topics of all of these 276 papers that have been listed. But the thing that was interesting for me from this particular paper was this paragraph, which said that computer anxiety was positively correlated with depression, computer-mediated communication, email, internet, and distress. And you see the year in which these papers were in 1994, 2004, 2006, 2007. So even 20 years before, people had anxiety because of computers. And in all of this email anxiety was super important to me, because I don't know about you, I still feel very anxious to reply 10-15 emails a day. I'm constantly checking, am I writing correctly or wrong? Is it the same email ID? Okay. And I think this is really happening with AI as well, because even with AI, our anxiety is allowing us either to learn AI or not to learn AI. And I was in the similar state last year, but what helped me, and this might sound really cliche, what helped me was to be patient and kind with myself, okay? Because at that particular time, I was only doing AI out of FOMO. Like, I did not really know what AI was. I was only going to apps, creating something and then sharing and then saying like, oh, I know about AI, which is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn AI in depth and then share it, which is what now I am able to do. I am at no means trying to put myself in anybody of your shoes, because AI has affected all of us in very different ways. All I am saying is that this being patient and kind to myself has helped me, and maybe it will help you all as well. And when I was kind and patient with myself, I was able to see how mindlessly I was creating. Not just creating mindlessly. At one point I was spending mindlessly, because people say, go use this app, this is good, spend $10. Go to use this app to create videos, spend again $10. So I was mindlessly creating and spending as well. But when I started to think of what exactly I am doing, I started creating things with care and intention. So even if it was a simple prompt, architecture, get a building, cat, get an animal, see what the words are actually doing, rather than copy pasting huge long paragraph and trying to mimic things. I think that's what changed. Again, I'm not saying that you need to follow this, but for me, being kind and patient helped, and it is still a work in progress. Even there are days today when I see something and I'm like, I need to do this, how will I stay up to date? But sometimes it is inevitable, but I'm trying and learning more and more. But because of this, I stopped taking AI more seriously than it has to be, okay, and started to appreciate for what it can do. Yes, it has fails. Yes, there are a lot of problems with it, but I also started to appreciate, because now I was doing small things and getting nice results than, going behind FOMO, like putting myself as a balloon or cutting myself into a cake, which I don't know. It's really not useful in my case, but I used to do that. And then I wanted to see how much AI has grown in the last 2-3 years, okay, and wanted to share that with you all as well. So maybe, yes, AI has fails, but seeing this might be helpful as well. So I made this prompt in MidJourney, and I wanted to see the evolution from V1 to V7. The prompt is simple, which basically is elevation of a curved and organic residence in the jungle, parametric stone skin, integrated louvers, humans and animals in the foreground, rendered in early morning during rain with sunlight breaking through mist. And now let's see with V1, what do you get? I don't see this as a residence. I don't know, there is no rain. I don't see like the stone material. I don't see the louvers, but it's fine. It was V1. We went from here to here. Now I see this vague looking animal. I see some kind of a white structure. It's fine. There is mist in the background, which is really nice. Then we went to V3, where we start seeing stone. We start seeing the vertical louvers. Animals have gone. Rain is gone, but that's fine. Then we see the version 4, where we see some kind of a stone, some kind of vertical louvers. It is in the morning. There is mist. There are people. It is in jungle. Really nice. Then we had version 5, which give you this. Again, there is a substantial improvement. Then version 6, which is really nice in my opinion. You see a building or residence that looks like stone. There are vertical louvers. There are animals. There is rain. There is mist. It is in morning. Kind of covers the entire prompt. And then with V7, which looks really good. I don't see rain much, but still I like the output. You see so many animals. It kind of feels like it is in a jungle. And apart from MidJourney, we now have a standalone open source app. I can't express how important this app has been for me to understand AI. Prior to this app, we had a Comfy desktop version, which was horrible. It used to break every 6 months. I have reformatted my laptop every 2 months last year, because I used to add some nodes. It would not connect with the Python. I have to restart. I would download workflows online. They would not run in my computer. Gone. Crashed. Again, do everything once more. And how wild is it that it has integrated logs in it? Yes, I'm getting a little bit of a nerdy, but prior to this, we had to read this separate, log separate, and I would try to figure out what is exactly happening. So having this is really a boon. I can't express enough. And for video generation, we went from this, which was just like creating again image to video with animate diff, creating kind of blobs, which is still really good, to this WAN 2.2 model, which recently came this week. I was testing it. Am I hinting towards the next image to video? But yeah, now you see we get so much better results with WAN 2.2. And for image to 3D model, we went from this, which just looks like a blob, only does the front part of the building, the rear part, nothing, to this, which kind of makes a 360 view correct to the input image. And if I would take a section of it, you would also see the window details. So went from this to this. And lastly, I went from this to this. So this is my LoRa, which is a low rank adaptation model in 2023 to 2025. This was made with SD. This was made with Flux. Here I'm kind of wearing a coat, looks nice, and I was super proud of myself. And now to this. Okay, so even I had an evolution in learning and understanding of AI, and so will you all as well. So the point that I'm trying to make in this video is that yes, AI will have fails. Yes, there will be a lot of anxiety, or AI anxiety as the term has been coined. And yes, we will struggle with AI. But let's see how we can learn better, how we can share better, so that we have more awareness about AI as well. And most importantly, share how to use AI wisely, because there is a lot of fraud, scam, deepfakes. Because if I talk about AI on this channel, I also want to talk about what not to use AI for, which is super important to me. And that's about it for this particular video. Kind of a light-hearted video, because I wanted to make it right now, because as you will start creating with AI, you will get fails. And to show you that I also get fails, it's important to see, because the social media doesn't show you that. It only shows you the best result. So it's okay if you have fails. I also have fails with AI. And let's see how we can learn together. But thank you for your time. Please do like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.